Looking for a place where faith comes alive and lives are transformed? Welcome to Standard Life Christian Center, where Jesus is Lord and lives are made whole. Raising sons with selfless spirit.
For this minute and hour, speak, glorify you, touch the heart of men, bring clarity, bring understanding. Let wisdom be made available this morning, that no one under the sound of my voice will go home the same. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Praise the Lord. You can have your seat in the presence of God. For the past few weeks we've been dealing on faith, and now we are venturing into the cross series. The Bible said God looked and said to himself, there's nothing greater for me to swear. But he said to Abraham, I'm going to swear by my name, that in blessing I will bless you, in prosperity I will prosper you, and he's placed his word above it. So his word become a guiding force that regulates his activities in the universe, his activities in eternity. And that is how God has lived ever since. This morning I'll be dealing with the cross, but it's a series. So under the cross I want to deal with man and independence. Man and independence. I'll be taking my text from the book of Genesis chapter 2. I will start from verse 7 and read a few. Then we go into Genesis chapter 3, and I'll draw a few more verses from there. Then we start up. Then God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed breath of life into his nostrils. And the man became a living being. And God planted a garden in Eden in the east, where he placed the man he had formed. I have made it so clear that the Bible word for breath is spirit. So God went to the dust, molded something that has the shape of a man, and breathed his spirit into Adam, and Adam became a living spirit. That is why if somebody wants to die, we use the word he breathed his last breath. What we are saying in essence is that the spirit in that man just left the body. So when the spirit leaves the body, the man is a clay, and there's nothing about him that makes sense anymore. But before we go to man and independence, we want to look at what is Adam like. How did Adam function in the Garden of Eden? Adam was a man that God created in his image and likeness. He gave him authority. In Genesis chapter 2, if you read down, the Bible said, and God created them male and female, verse 25, and they were not ashamed, because Adam had a pure spirit. Adam had a pure spirit. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 25, I said, and the man and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed. So the first attribute before the fall for Adam was he had a pure spirit. The second attribute is that Adam had direct access to God. The Bible said that at the cool of each evening, God will come and dwell with man in the garden and have conversation with Adam. Adam had direct access to God. The third attribute of Adam was that Adam had a body that is immortality. Adam had a body that cannot die, a body that does not decay, a body that cannot be sick, a body that does not grow old. And that is why if you go to heaven after we have spent our years here on earth, you are going to see Jesus trapped in a body between the age of 33 to 35, and he's going to remain like that for eternity. He will never grow old. The personality he maintained when he went to the cross, the same personality he will maintain for eternity, because that body does not grow old. That body does not wither. That body does not fall to sickness, disease. The look of that body is what that body maintains. If you go to heaven tomorrow and you see your parents in heaven, you're not going to see an old woman walking stick. You're going to see a woman within the age of 35, 40, trapped in her body. That's how your dad will look like if he's in heaven. That's how your mom will look like if she's in heaven. So Adam had a body of immortality, a body that does not decay. The fourth attribute of Adam is that Adam as a person had dominion over creation. The Bible said, and God commanded, he said, rule over the earth. God created the earth and gave Adam authority over the earth. So before the fall of Adam, Adam had control over the earth. He had control over creation. It means during the time of Adam, it cannot be drowned by water. If you throw Adam into an Atlantic Ocean, he will come out alive. He can't be drowned. It means that during the time of Adam, if he walks to the highest mountain and drops from that place, not a single bone will be broken. His flesh will not be scratched. Why? He's alienated from death. He can't die as a person. There was no fear of death. He was separated from death entirely. Adam functioned in two habitats. He could function as a spirit, he could function as a man. And that was why, when we get to the book of Genesis chapter 3, the devil started speaking to him. He saw a serpent speaking, but it was a man that was speaking through the serpent. He wore the body of a serpent, but a spirit was speaking to him, and Adam could recognize the spirit that was speaking. Adam could talk to God, he could see God. Why? Because he was able to dwell in the spiritual realm. He was also able to dwell in the physical realm. When he wants to talk to God, he talks to God like a human being. He has access to the spiritual and to the physical. His physical body helped him to deal with the physical world. The life of God on the inside of him helps him to deal with the spiritual things. So Adam had dual habitation. He was able to live in the spirit and live in the flesh at the same time. Adam had everything. The problem of Adam in the Garden of Eden is the problem of the world to date. The temptation that devil came with is the same temptation that is happening today. The root of every sin and every evil on the surface of the earth can be tied to these two sources. It has not changed. It might have branches, it might yield various fruit, but when you check the root, it's two things we are dealing with. Genesis chapter 3. He said, now the serpent was more crafty, Genesis chapter 3 verse 1, than any beast of the field that the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The woman answered the serpent, we may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, but about the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden, God said, you must not eat of it or touch it, or you will die. I told you that when God created the universe and lived in eternity, he placed his word above his name, and his word became his guiding screw that guides him in all he does. And so when God created Adam, what he did was to place a particular law, which is called the law of justice and accountability. He said to Adam, tend the garden and report to me. That is accountability. At the middle of the garden, a tree has been planted. The day you eat of it, you shall die. Justice is broken down into what we call regulations and rights. When you break a regulation, there are consequences. When you obey the right, there are blessings and benefits. The accountability part of the word that God spoke at the Garden of Eden has to do with reporting and obedience. He said to Adam, tend the garden. Your own is to tend it, to maintain it, and give me record every day. So at the cool of the evening, God comes down to have discussion with Adam. He asks him, how far have you gone with the garden? What did you do today? Adam gives his report. And Adam, as long as he was obedient to the task and he was consistent, he maintained his authority as the owner of the earth. What is the sin that killed Adam? What did the devil do in the Garden of Eden that destroyed the world? How did the devil take over authority from Adam? How did Adam relinquish the world to the devil? The devil asked him a question that bordered on justice and accountability, and Adam failed. He asked the woman a question. He said, did God truly ask you not to eat? The woman said yes. He said, we shall not eat. The day we touch it, we will die. Verse 6. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eyes, that it was desirable for obtaining wisdom, she took the fruit and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. And the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. So they shewed themselves fig leaves and made covering for themselves. Two temptations came to man in the Garden of Eden. That two temptation is what is the root of all temptation and problems we have in the earth today. The first one was self-will. The desire for independence. God created Adam and gave him everything that he wanted, but placed something at the Garden of Eden, at the middle of it, and asked him not to eat of it, and told him to tend the garden and give report to him. But man wanted independence. Man wanted to be on his own. Man wanted independence. He wants to stay on his own. If you check the root of every sin today is independence. A lady is born into a family. The parents tells her, don't go to this place. Come back home by 7 o'clock. She says it's my life. When her life is destroyed, she's contracted HIV. She's messed up. But what was the problem? Independence. Self-will was the problem. Adam and Eve wanted to be independent from God. So the devil asked them, what has God asked you to do? They said no. The devil said, the day you eat of the fruit, you what? Your eyes will open. Which means you have wisdom. You no longer depend on the wisdom of God to guide your day-to-day activity. You will now obtain the wisdom of your own to do the things you want. God will no longer direct your affairs. The second temptation was the temptation of equality. He said, when your eyes open, then you will be like God. So when the devil came with self-will and equality, man bought the fruit. Man ate it. This has been the problem of this earth to date. Self-will and equality. Self-will and equality. It has been the problem to date. What destroys home? Self-will and equality. A woman gets married and refuses to stay under the authority of a man and wants to do the things she likes. So she becomes a baby mama, gives birth to children, stay on her own, stay in her house because she does not want to be under the authority of anybody. She wants to come out of her house anytime she likes. She wants to return back to the house anytime she likes. What is she looking for? Independence. What does that do? It has destroyed families. A man wants a woman to stay under his authority, but refuses to stay under the authority of God. What is he looking for? Independence. It has destroyed homes. A child is growing up. The mother and father says to him or says to her, do it this way. No, she wants to equate herself with her father and mother in terms of wisdom and knowledge. These are men and women that have experience 15, 20, 30 years more than you. They are telling you based on the things we have seen. No, you see, no, I'm equal to you. You can't tell me what to do. I have wisdom more than you. The sin of equality and the sin of self-will has destroyed the entire earth and messed up the earth to date. And it was the same sin that Adam fell into in the Garden of Eden, and that is what is happening today. That's what is happening today. Man on his own does not want to be under authority. Man on his own does not want to hear what God has to say. So Adam, first and foremost, seeks for independence in the Garden of Eden. He wanted to gain wisdom so he can do the things he likes, self-will. Then the second one, he wanted to be like God, so he disregarded God and ate the fruit that was forbidden. Why is this important? Because before we go to the cross, we need to know what the problem of man is. Everyone that God created on earth function under rules and regulations. The day you take yourself away from rules and regulation, you have packaged yourself for destruction. The law of Nigeria says you cannot drive a car until you are 18 years old. The reason why that law was put in place is because generally it has been ascertained that at the age of 18, a child has attained some level of maturity. And that law was put in place for the safety, for the protection of the child. Do you know why God lifted his word above it? It's because he wanted rules and regulation to guide him. God could have decided on his own to say, Adam I created has corrupted himself. Chase Adam out of the garden, create another Adam to occupy the garden. But the rules and regulation that guides him cannot permit him to do that. Jesus could have looked for an alternative means to die. He could have just slept on his bed and died, go to hell, come out. No, but the rules and regulations will not allow him, because he has to pay for the consequences. He has to pay for the sin that has been committed. What is the problem with man? Independence. How do we solve this culture of man and independence that is broken down into what we call justice and accountability? This is the temptation that the devil brought in the Garden of Eden. Man failed. Until date, man is still failing. You meet a young boy that just finished secondary school. He does not want to go to university. He wants to make money at the age of 16. His parents will call him and say to him, there are procedures to this thing. Because money making is not just getting money. You have to learn how to manage it. You don't have the skills to manage money. No, it jumps into Yahoo Yahoo. It jumps into 419. It jumps into swindling. It makes the money. While making the money, he gets into drugs. From drugs, he becomes addicted to drug. The next thing, he loses his sanity. The money destroys him. Why? Independence. Equality. It's the same sin. It's the same sin. That is what has destroyed the earth where we are today. A woman came and said women liberation. And the question was asked, were women in bondage before? No. The position of a woman is known in the Bible. Keep your place. a man has his place in the Bible. It's just like the neck getting angry one day and said he wants to come on top of the head. That's deformity. The structure has been established by God. You can't change it. The head maintains the position of the head. The neck becomes the neck. The heart, the day the heart gets tired of staying within the rib cage and comes out physically, the heart will be punctured, the heart will be destroyed. But the heart seems powerful and strong because it is within the rib cage. There's something protecting the heart that even if a man rushes and hits a place, is secured. That makes the heart powerful. That makes the heart very precious. But the day the heart leaves its position and decides to come to the position of the earth, the sun will dry it up. The heart will become useless. The problem of man is independence and equality. And it has been to date. Any man and any woman that does not understand what Jesus did on the cross to solve this problem, because Jesus dealt with three major problems. He dealt with the condemnation of the spirit man, he dealt with self, and he dealt with the flesh. They were in three dimensions to cover all these areas that we have made mention of. What is the problem of Nigeria? Equality and independence. A man becomes a governor. He wants to have power and do whatever he likes, but he don't want to be subjected to power. But the person that created him subjected himself under power, placed his word above him. Why? What keeps you in power is submission to power. When you leave the place of submission, your power becomes useless. As long as Adam was under power, his power was retained. When Adam left the power of God, it dried up, because everything that God created, he created with a source. And you know the stupidity of men. A man can try to function as a tyrant and do whatever he likes, but at the same time, nobody is free on earth. The president of Nigeria can behave the way he wants to behave in Nigeria. He can do whatever he likes. But the day he goes to America, his madness will kill. He can't do anything. So you see the tyranny, the lack of the quest for independence and equality that he thinks he has, that has made him go haywire. He comes to a place he still has to stay under there. Because the problem that we have, why Jesus had to come, is this. And the question was asked, and that is the question that we're asking today. What did Adam lack in the Garden of Eden? Except imaginary freedom. Some people have stepped into problems, imagining what? A freedom that never existed. Some women have destroyed their home through imagination of a perfect marriage. Some people, men have destroyed their marriages through imagination of a perfect wife. So you see another woman that greets the husband, "Good morning, sir," outside, kneels before the husband outside, and you create an imaginary picture of freedom in your mind, and you carry that same picture, you bring into your home and destroy the blessing that God has given you as a wife. So you see a man that buys gift for the wife every week, sends her birthday cake to the office when she's having birthday, and you create an imaginary picture of a perfect husband, and you mold a God in that regard, and you want your husband to fit into that picture. But the man that buys the gift and sends the cake has a secret child outside that the wife will only find out after his death. But your husband can never do such. Each time man seeks for something imaginary, he destroys himself. And that is the problem we have in today's Christianity. A person wants to function under God's authority. He wants the blessings of God. He wants the promotion of God. He wants the grace of God. He wants the ability of God. But at the same time, he does not want to submit to the authority of God. You want to attract the blessings, but you are afraid of the regulations. You want to obtain the blessings of Abraham, but you don't want to be the called out like the people of Israel. When Adam ate the fruit in the Garden of Eden, the first thing that happened to him was death. What happened was the life of God, which is the essence of God, left him. And the one of the devil took over. Adam and Eve were seeking for equality. But what did they get in return? Slavery. Adam and Eve were seeking for wisdom. But what did they get in return? Foolishness. This was a man that has all wisdom, all knowledge, all authority, that could name all the animals, that tend the sheep, that gave name to everything. This was a man that can understand both in the spirit realm and the physical realm. But his quest for an imaginary wisdom that did not exist brought him back into foolishness. When the Spirit of God left Adam, he became foolish. His body started decaying. He started dying. Pain came into his life. The Bible said God cursed the ground and said, you will toil to feed. The ground will yield thorns to you. He said to the woman, sorrow will become your next name. Through sorrow you will give birth to your children. Adam was enslaved. Why? What the devil lost, he was looking for an alternative, and man fell into it. And that brings me to why I'm here today. Anything without restriction is a sin. If you want to define sin in neutral terms, anything without restriction is a sin. Anything in life that has no edge, it has no length, it has no breadth, it has no width, it has no depth, it has no height, and you function in it, is a sin. When you eat too much, you become gluttonic. Food is good for the body, but excess food can kill you. Water, they say, is life. But if you go into water and dip yourself into it and start drinking inside it and refuse to come out, the same water will drown you. The problem we have as Christians, and why the power of the cross is not effective, is because some people have been regenerated in their spirit man, but they don't want to subject themselves to the law of justice and accountability. Whatever you don't account for, God is not responsible for. I want to repeat it. Whatever you don't account for, God is not responsible for. If you don't account your marriage to Him, God is not responsible for your marriage. If you don't account your business to Him, God is not responsible for your business. If you don't account your life to Him, God is not responsible for your life. Whatever you are not accountable for, God is not in it. Because the person we are dealing with is a God of justice. And He functions within justice and laws. God is not a carefree person. God is not a careless person. God does not talk freely. God talks within the law. God talks within regulation. God talks within principles. God does not talk outside principles or outside the law. The reason why God placed the tree in the Garden of Eden is not because He wants Adam to subject to Him, but He knew that the only way that Adam could maintain that deity level was to have an authority over him, just like he has authority over himself. So He created a layer of authority in the Garden Garden of Eden. As long as man stays under the layer of authority, his power is sustained. It's the same thing. When you approach a man and the man wants to talk to you, or a man wants to harass you, he sees a ring on your finger. He thinks twice. Why? It signifies authority over you. But when you approach another man, there's no ring of authority in your finger. He treats you anyhow. You're wondering why. Go and ask ladies that have stayed on their own to the age of 60, 70 without a husband. That first women liberation is the best way to go. They're saying to themselves, what a man can do, a woman can do it. What do I need a man for? To have children. So they went, bought sperm, got pregnant, gave birth to kids. At the age of 70, 80, most of them regret. They die in regret. Why? They are out of order. Completely. The problem of the earth is this, and that is what the devil is using to date. What is immorality? What is fornication? What is adultery? Is the same thing. A law is put in place that you cannot sleep with a woman that is not your wife. You cannot sleep with a man that is not your husband. That on that law, the blessings of God comes upon you. No, but man wants to be independent. So he wants to sleep around. He wants to sleep with any woman he likes without operating under the law. And what happened? His life is destroyed. What is the essence of money? It's just like you are living in Nigeria, as we call this nation. You call yourself a citizen of Nigeria. Then you come out in the morning, you slap a policeman. You slap an army officer. And they ask you, you say you want to do this. No, you have to get out of this country. As long as you have decided to be a citizen of this country, you must be regulated by the laws and principles of the nation. Because it is that thing that makes you a citizen of Nigeria. You are not a citizen of Nigeria because you have black skin. If a black child has the international passport of US, pays his taxes to US government, lives within the US environment, is black, is a US citizen, is not in Nigeria. So you are not a Nigerian because your skin is black. You are a Nigerian because you live within the laws and regulation of the country, and you are regulated. Your activity is guided by the things around this country. That's what makes you a citizen of Nigeria. Somebody said, I've been praying and God is not blessing me. So the question was asked, are you under authority? Let me explain something to you. If you are a married man, you can pray 6 to 6 for 3 months. You can do dry fasting for 360 days. If you don't treat your wife and children right, your prayers will not be answered. Another pastor can deceive you. You are wasting your time. Once your prayers start coming up, what God sees is alignment. Aligned prayers have a channel. See, God does not come and start asking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bless him. No. What he does is that it comes to the channel of alignment, then he answers. It's just like when you come to a court. If you come to a court now and you are a witness, if you don't stand at the witness box, you can be shouting outside, it's a lie, it's a lie, it's a lie. Nobody will hear you. No judge will record what you are saying. Nobody will take record. The person taking record in the court will not talk to you. What you are saying is you are making noise. They can even bundle you and throw you out of the court. But as long as you come into the witness boss and stand and take that oath, whatever you take is recorded. The same thing is applicable in heaven. When you are in alignment, you have come into the witness box. When you start making pronouncement, then there's a record, because why? You are in alignment. So if you are a Christian, you want to be blessed as a Christian, you must function under authority. There must be laws and regulations that guide your family, and you must subject yourself. So the hierarchy is: the man submits to God, the woman submits to the man, the children submit to the father and mother. He said, God did not say pray that your days may be long. He said honor your father and mother that your days may be long. The elongation of your days on earth was put under your parents. If you disregard your parents and treat them like a piece of rag, you can go and meet the most strongest and most powerful bishop. He can immerse you into anointing oil. He will still die premature. The principle is set. There are laws that guide everything. It's just like you are asking God now for prosperity. You want him to prosper you. Money comes into your hand, and what do you do as a man? You waste it on frivolities. You don't take care of your children. You don't take care of your wife. You use it to chase girls and whatever. Whatever prayer that you are prayed for with intervention. And let me tell you, no man survives on intervention. People survive on breakthrough. Intervention is like manna. You can't stay in manna forever. You must get into the promised land. The best you can have if when you are out of alignment is intervention. But when you stay in alignment, the blessing comes. I went to one of my pastor friends, and we were discussing. And he said a few things that shook me. When he got married initially, he was having issue with the wife. The wife was a very rigid person. The wife appears to be stingy. The wife appears to be unreasonable. And so he was fighting back. He was fighting back. He was fighting back. While he was fighting back, he was stagnant in his job. Promotion was not coming. His business was dying. He did not understand what was doing. What the woman was doing was bad. But he could not understand why the woman was doing something that was bad. And instead of God to intervene and say, no, what you are doing is bad, and the husband is wrong, bless him, God did not intervene. Until he made up his mind to start accepting the excesses of his wife, and said to himself, I have made up my mind to be good to these children and to this woman, regardless of what happened to me. Immediately he made that shift and moved. His business moved. He changed jobs, started working in Chevron. He built a house within the space of 1 year. And the question was asked, what was happening to the previous prayers? It was not answered. The previous years of fastings and prayer was a waste. It was not coming from the weakness boss. It was not coming from alignment. The angels were not taking record of what was coming. It was a polluted incense in the hand of God. God could not do anything with it. You know what? God functioned on legality. God functioned on legality. It was in this church I told you a story of a pastor that raped a Christian sister, went away. After a few years later, became a pastor, started preaching, doing miracles and everything. Years later, his daughter got into school. A cultist raped the daughter and she became HIV positive. And the man was saying, no, if any man be in Christ, all things are possible. What was happening? He checked back, met my father and the Lord, and the guy started to talk. The guy, he was not understanding. He got angry, ran off. The Spirit of God said, ask him when he comes back, when he's come. He asked him, he said, my son, have you done anything like this in the past? He said, yes, about 15, 20 years ago when I was an unbeliever. He said, when you were unbeliever, what did you do about it? Nothing. Abandoned the girl, left her. There was no recompense. He didn't go to check. He didn't make amends. So what happened? The devil stood on that legality, waited for his daughter at the age of 17 and messed her up. You function under legality. You function under principles. That's it. You can't come to God in the morning, lift up holy hands, while the people you have been called to be God over, you are not doing your function and say, God. Because the same way God gave Adam authority over the earth, the same way he gave a man authority over his family to fend, protect the family, and if there is reason, die for the family. The Old Testament said, love your neighbor as yourself. The New Testament says, love your neighbor as I've loved you. What did Jesus do? He died. He said, a good friend dies for his friends. So in the New Testament, the principle went further. From loving as yourself to dying if the need arises. So you forsake the principle, you are waiting for the blessings. No. God put in motion two things in the garden. Justice and accountability. On justice is broken down. Regulations come with repercussion. Rights comes with benefits and privileges. When you obey the law and you keep to the regulations, your right is sustained by heaven. The blessings and the benefits come to you. When you disobey the regulations, you break your right, the devil have access to you and messes you up. I will stop here. How do you think Nigeria check fraud? Every money you pay into the account from your bank passes through a government agency before it appears in the bank. So the federal government does not need to come and say, Paul, how much did you transfer today? You say 3 times. How much? 50 times. No, they don't have that business. What they do is they go to the data of that agency. They type in your BVN number. All the transactions you have made from the day you open that bank app surfaces. The account where that money was transferred from and where it went to is seen. Every expense you have made through a bank that links with your BVN, that is how the federal government monitors you. The day they remember it, they just go to that agency. EFCC takes your record and somebody sits on it and vet it. They start picking things, they can deal with you. That is why you can see politicians can't talk. Because you go, they just give your record to EFCC. It's that agency. How do you think God blesses? You think God call Angel Michael, Gabriel, Angel James, Angel this, come. Okay, stay, let me see. No. There is something automated in heaven that captures alignment. And so when it's time for blessing, the alignment is what? Is triggered. So everyone in that alignment, the trigger force move. It's just like the man by the water side. He said when the angel stirs the water, when that angel stirs the water, he does not tell the water, heal HIV, heal cancer, heal diabetes, heal blindness. He stirs the water. Anyone that steps into that water first, whatever infirmity is cured on the spot. Why? Because once it is triggered, the only thing that the body responds to is healing. So when a man aligns with God's principle and God's ways, when that thing is triggered, the blessing comes.
Standard Life Christian Center, raising sons with selfless spirit. Join us at 15 Osolo Way, opposite UBA at Jawo Estate, Lagos, Nigeria. Worship with us every Sunday at 9 a.m. Don't miss our healing and communion service every last Friday of the month at 10 p.m. A powerful night of miracles and restoration. Catch Senior Pastor Paul Adumoha live on Lasgidi 90.1 FM Saturdays at 9 p.m. Need more info? Call 0814-834-7456 or 0813-644-3190. Follow us on Facebook at Standard Life Christian Center and subscribe on YouTube at Pastor Paul Adumoha.